Hey, what's going on, guys? Electric Ninja here, and today I'm going to be teaching you the rules of both Mafia and Blood on the Clocktower, which are two social deduction games. So right here around me, I have 9 stuffed animals, including Rainbow Care Bear, Zeeby, Sleepy Bear, Auroru, Hedwig, Umbreon, Red Yoshi, Red Panda, and Elephant. And I'm going to be simulating games of both social deduction games. So the first one we're going to try out is Mafia. So in a game of Mafia, you're going to have 2 players who are on the evil team, represented by these jacks that I have in front of the camera here. We're going to have 1 player who's a sheriff, which is A, and we're going to have 1 player who's a medic, which is a queen. All right? And the rest of these cards, so the ones with numbers that you can see here, those are going to be townsfolk. So these are going to be randomly assigned. So we're going to take these in our hand, right? And we're going to shuffle them, right? So I'm just going to do that right quick and let you guys see me as I do. So I'm going to put this up over here. All right. And normally the players would choose their cards randomly. So hold up just for a second while I get this stabilized. So you see I have cards here, and I'm going to shuffle them because the assortment of the rolls, right, is random. Okay? But I'm going to show you who gets what roll, actually. So hopefully you should have seen me shuffle those. And here are the cards. So we're going to deal them out here. So Rainbow Care Bear is going to be a normal faithful, right? They're going to be not part of the Mafia. Then Zeeby is also a normal faithful. Our Sleepy Bear is going to be the first part of the Mafia, okay? Then we have another one here. Auroru is a normal faithful, okay? And Hedwig is also a normal faithful. Okay, so far we have 4 normal faithfuls and 1 part of the Mafia. But here we have Umbreon, who is going to be our medic. So we can call him monk, angel, whatever. And we're going to have Red Yoshi be the sheriff. Red Panda is going to be the last normal faithful, which means the elephant is also part of the Mafia. So the game will start, and I will tell everyone, go to sleep, okay? So we're going to put them all face down to simulate this. None of them can look right now, so we're just doing this. Forgive me for the bad quality. This is not really a professional video, but everyone's asleep right now, okay? Then what I'd say, all right, is Mafia, wake up. So at this point, the Mafia would wake up and look to each other. Now, it's night 1, so no one can kill anyone just yet. But we can then turn them over. Mafia knows who each other is. And the medic and sheriff know they are the medic and sheriff. So at this point, I tell everyone to wake up, and then I give them a few time for actual discussion. And at the end of this first day, I will ask, hey, does anyone have any nominations that they would like to make? So let's just pretend that everyone is awake right here. I'm not actually going to really turn all of them over. But let's say it's now nomination time, okay? And let's say Zeeby, here we have Zeeby, really thinks that Umbreon over there is evil. Zeeby can say, I nominate Umbreon, okay? And that will effectively mean that Umbreon is potentially on the block. So at this point, Zeeby would have a chance to make an accusation, okay? And then Umbreon would have a chance to make a defense. And then all the players around the circle will vote on if they think Umbreon is evil. It takes a majority to get someone on the block. So let's say here, Hedwig, Auroru, and Sleepy Bear all think that Umbreon is evil, but no one else does. that would only be 3 votes, and it would not be enough to have Umbreon on the block. Okay, let's say instead, Hedwig nominates the Rainbow Bear. And let's say Aurora, right, which is the purple guy, Sleepy Bear, ZB, Elephant, and Red Panda all vote on that. That would be 5, right? And that would be enough to get Red Panda on the block. All right? And so let's say that actually does turn out to be enough, and Red Panda is executed. No one can beat that, okay? So Red Panda would then die. They get thrown across the room. But actually, we're not going to have them be out the game. See, in social deduction games, one cool thing we can have is that we can have players get a dead token. So let's say, can you see this? One of these, all right? And now we can place that next to the Rainbow Bear, and we can know they're dead, all right? But what's special is that Rainbow Bear still gets 1 more vote for the rest of the game, all right? So in the night, everyone is asleep now. I then tell the Mafia again, hey, wake up Sleepy Bear, wake up Elephant. I wouldn't say them by name, obviously. But I'd say, wake up Mafia. So they'd wake up, and they would then agree on a player they want to kill. So let's say they agree to point to Hedwig, right? The owl. And so, okay, I'd then say, Mafia, go to sleep. Okay? Then I'd say, Medic, wake up. So the Medic would have a chance to then wake up. That would be the Umbreon here. And since they're the queen, I'd say, Medic, point to who you want to save. Let's say they don't save Hedwig. Let's say they save Aurora. Then Aurora is saved, but that doesn't matter because Aurora was not targeted. Then I'd go to Red Yoshi. I'd say, Sheriff, wake up. And so the Sheriff would then have a chance to point at who they think is evil. And I would actually tell them, yes, they are evil, or no, they are not evil. That the Sheriff can be run in many different ways. That's the way I run it here. So essentially, we've now finished the night phase. I'd say everyone go to sleep again, and then everyone wake up. Then here's where I'd announce in glorious fashion that Hedwig was brutally murdered at night, and Hedwig is now also dead. So the game would continue like this. Let's say at day, ZB nominates Red Panda, and Red Panda dies too. Okay? And then at night, let's say something different happens this time. Let's say the Mafia agrees to kill Red Yoshi. But actually, Red Yoshi has claimed that they are the Sheriff. And so instead, Umbreon decides to save Red Yoshi. That would mean that Red Yoshi does not die. Because Red Yoshi would be protected from the death. So in case that makes sense, we're going to simulate this. So Sleepy Bear and Elephant, they're trying to beat up Red Yoshi. They're trying to go wham, wham, wham. But instead, Umbreon is like, no, you can't do that. We will not let you do that. And Umbreon essentially guards Red Yoshi's life. So then, okay, Red Yoshi looks, and Red Yoshi sees, oh, Elephant, yes, he is really evil. So I'd actually do a no there, because actually, yeah, let's do a yes. Yes is evil, no is good, okay? It's kind of convoluted. You can run that however you want. But the point is, Red Yoshi learns that Elephant is evil, okay? So now we have only 3 players dead, and we have 2 Mafia still alive. But let's say at the nominations, Red Yoshi nominates Elephant, okay? And Elephant gets enough votes to be executed. Here, it would only take 3 votes to be executed because it is the majority of living players. And so we only have 6 here. So when we had 8, it went down to 4. Now it goes down to 3. And so let's say Elephant is actually dead. So now Elephant would be either revealed they're the Mafia, or if we're not playing that way, not revealed they're the Mafia. And simply it goes like that until the game concludes. So how does the game end? Well, it can end in one of 2 different ways. Either the Mafia can outnumber the good and make it impossible to win. So how does this mean? Well, if there are 2 evils left in the final 3, the good team cannot win, right? because good can't just nominate both of the Mafia. It's impossible. But since everyone can use a dead vote once per game, good can win if it's one-on-one, right? So it's kind of tricky there, but seeing it in real life can make sense. So let's just say it's like this. So we got ZB dead, we got Auroru dead, and let's say Red Yoshi also dies. Okay? So now we'd have a final 3 of Sleepy Bear, Hedwig, and Umbreon. Okay? And let's say Hedwig actually does die here. Well, oh wait, I already had the... Okay, it's the final 2 here. I don't know what I was doing. So, Umbreon and Sleepy Bear. You might think, oh, Sleepy Bear would win because, there are only 1 of 2 players left alive. Well, that would be right, except the dead players can all have 1 vote until the end of the game. It's important to clarify that dead players cannot nominate and may not vote more than once per game, but they're still a part of the game. They can still speak, and they cannot wake up at night to learn anything. Now, this is a custom rule, but that's how I like to run it because I find it more interesting when all players can still play the game. So if that makes sense, and I hope it does, please, let's go on to the more complicated game. We're going to take all this back, and that is Blood on the Clocktower. So how do I explain Blood on the Clocktower? Well, it's very similar to Mafia, okay? In that you're still trying to find the evil players if you're good, and you're still trying to have the demon, which is an evil player, survive if you're bad. So here is a script of Blood on the Clocktower characters, and we're not going to explain all of them right now, but what's important to know is that at the start of the game, each player will gain a character, okay? And for a 9-player game, and these numbers can change, but I will reveal them if I ever play in person with you guys. For a 9-player game, 1 person will be the big bad, and they'll be the imp. So let me just pass these out to people, if I can find my characters. Yes. So 1 player will be the imp. The imp's ability reads, each night, choose a player. They die. If you kill yourself this way, a minion becomes the imp. Well, what does that mean? Well, the imp is a demon, okay? And let's say ZB is a demon for this game. If the imp dies and is killed by the rest of the circle, the game ends, and the good team has win. But there are multiple ways for evil to escape this. The first is a Scarlet Woman. The Scarlet Woman's ability reads, if there are 5 or more players alive and the demon dies, you become the demon. So we're going to give this token to Red Panda, okay? And this is a minion ability. So if Red Panda dies, the game is not over, unless Red Panda is an imp. And the imp is a demon, okay? So it's very important. The evil team wants the demon alive, all right? There are also other minion abilities, which I actually will explain. The first is the Poisoner. Each night, you can choose a player. They're poisoned tonight and today. So what does poison mean? Well, poison means their information or their ability might not be correct. So let's say we have a monk, right? And a monk is very similar to the queen from the last game. Each night, they'll pick a player, not themselves, and they will be safe from the demon today or tonight. So let's say this time Rainbow Care Bear is the monk. If Rainbow Care Bear chooses someone to save, but the poisoner chooses to poison Rainbow Care Bear, that person will not actually be safe. Okay? So next, let's have the chef be in the game. And let's have that be Elephant. The chef starts knowing how many pairs of evil players there are. So this gets into more specific terminology. The chef's ability means that all pairs of neighbors, right? If those pairs of neighbors are evil, they count for a number. So usually the chef will either get a 0, right? No evil players are sitting next to each other, or a 1. There is a pair of evil players sitting next to each other. Okay? Then let's have a washerwoman. Okay? A washerwoman starts knowing that one of two players is a specific townsfolk. Okay? So let's say we're going to read the chef. The sleepy bear can either read that one of two players is a specific townsfolk. So sleepy bear might say, oh, Zeeby, and oh, elephant. One of you two is a chef, right? That's the information they may start knowing, right? If that makes sense. Now, of course, Zeeby is not the chef. Zeeby is the imp, which is the big bad again, but Sleepy Bear would not know this. They only know that one of two players, all right, one of two players is a specific townsfolk, all right? And this ability is very similar to both the librarian and the investigator. The librarian reads one of two players is a specific outsider, all right? One of two players is a specific outsider. And the investigator reads that one of two players is a specific minion. Now, I'm not going to exactly explain these abilities in depth today, but feel free to ask me what this means, because now I want to get to what an outsider is. So there are 4 outsiders on the script, and the first we're going to have is the Saint. The Saint is an outsider that reads, if you die by execution, your team loses. So what is an outsider? Well, an outsider is a good player whose ability harms a good team. They're still working for good, and this is very important, but their ability will hinder the good team in some way. And in fact, because these abilities harm the good team in some way, one way for the evil team to have more power is for there to be a Baron in the game. So if I can find that. Okay, I don't know where it is. But I'll show you on the script. So the Baron means there are extra outsiders in play. Plus 2 outsiders. And these 4 are the outsiders, if that makes sense. Okay? And the last one I should explain for the evil characters is a marionette. You think there is a good character, you think you are a good character, right? So maybe the marionette might think they're the washerwoman, right? But you're actually not. You neighbor the demon, and the demon knows who you are. So here, if Sleepy Bear was the marionette, right, that would be illegitimate because they neighbor the demon, right, which is the imp, and their information could be false, right? They're a lot like another player that I'll explain, which is the drunk. So the drunk also thinks they're a good player. Let's say it's Hedwig here. But Hedwig is not actually what she thinks she is. Hedwig is not the mayor, but the drunk instead. All right, so we're going to simulate it here. They would not get this card because this player does not know they are the drunk. You think you are a townsfolk character, but you are not. Hedwig is still on the good team here, but Hedwig's information, or their ability rather, would work false. And that's important because Hedwig's ability here is if only 3 players live and no execution occurs, your team wins. If you die at night, another player might die instead. So now we have the 2 outsiders in the game, right? And those are Auroru and Hedwig. So we satisfied the requirement for there. We've explained all the minions. We've explained the demon. I'm now going to explain the rest of the outsiders. They're not in play this game, in this fate game, but you should know what they are. The first is a butler. Each night, choose a player, not yourself. Tomorrow, you may only vote if they are voting too. So obviously, this is quite a hindrance to the good team. The butler has to choose a player to trust and can only vote if they are voting too. Just like how voting worked in Mafia. All right? And the other outsider is the recluse. And let me see if I can find that here. It's kind of hard to keep track of all these cards. I'm not going to lie. I should have done this better. But I don't know where the recluse one is. But okay. So we'll show you one here. The recluse. You might register as evil and as a minion or demon even if dead. What does this mean? And this is a hard ability, so I want to make sure you guys are listening to this. The recluse is a good character, but other people may get information on the recluse that says they're evil. Okay? The investigator, for instance, whose ability we've already read, if I can get it here. I cannot get it here. Here it is. Okay. The investigator says you start knowing that one of two players is a specific minion. I could show the investigator that the recluse is the poisoner. They're not the poisoner. But I am showing the investigator this because they might register as evil. All right? So that makes sense. And here's the recluse's ability. I found it. You might register as evil and as a minion or demon even if dead. So, and that can be to any abilities. All right? And so that is all the outsiders. We've explained the mayor. Let's say there's also a virgin in this game. And the virgin is a role, guys, I know, funny. But the virgin's ability says, the first time you are nominated, if the nominator is a townsfolk, they are executed immediately. So just like executions in Mafia, the virgin can actually say, hey, if you're a good player and you're a townsfolk, right? Your ability is good in helping the good team. I'm going to execute you. Now, why on earth would this be helpful? Well, I'll tell you why. If the virgin is in play and a good player and a townsfolk at that successfully nominates them, that play clears both the virgin, right, the person with the virgin role, and the other player as good for the rest of the game. They cannot change into evil on the script. So let's say, we'll give another example. Red Yoshi is an empath. And the empath's ability is, each day, you learn how many of your 2 alive neighbors are evil. So Red Yoshi would learn that Red Panda and Umbreon, one of them is evil. Red Yoshi would not know which one. But Red Yoshi here, on hearing that Umbreon might be the virgin, might decide to nominate Umbreon, clearing both of them and making sure, basically, that Red Panda gets found out as evil, if that makes sense. So this is kind of complicated still, and I get things might be confusing, so feel free to comment if you are still confused, okay? But that could be a play that works. Quickly, we're going to go over the rest of the abilities that I didn't go over. The Fortune Teller. Each night, choose 2 players. You learn if either is a demon or the imp. There is a good player that registers as a demon to you. What does this mean? Each night, the Fortune Teller will point to 2 players, all right? 2. Very important. I will then say, yes, one is a demon. No, they're not. But one good player, I will give a yes on, even though they're not the demon, all right? Usually, I'll make this a hard roll for the good team. Let's say the Saint. I might register the Saint, yes, they're the demon. But in fact, if you execute the Saint, the good team loses. This is because the evil team, it can be hard for them to come back. So I try to help them out when storytelling a bit. Because I am an unbiased observer, but my goal as a storyteller is to make the game go to Final 3. All right? Then the Undertaker. Each night, you learn which character died by execution today. All right? So the Undertaker is a pretty powerful role, okay? They're really good for the good team, right? So each night, the Undertaker learns which character died by execution. Let's say the washerwoman died by execution. Well, the Undertaker the next night, assuming they stay alive and are sober and healthy, meaning their information is not drunk or poisoned, they would know that this person, Sleepy Bear, is the washerwoman, okay? So that can be pretty powerful. The monk is just like the queen. We already explained that. The Slayer. Once per game, during the day, publicly choose a player. So this means point to, say, I'm the Slayer. I think this person is a demon. That's what you'd say. And I want to kill them, right? You'd say, I'm the Slayer. I shoot this person. If they are the demon, or if they're the recluse, because the recluse can register as a demon, they will die, right? And you might think this ends the game. Well, usually it does, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. But if there is a Scarlet Woman in play, that is possible that the demon will die and the Scarlet Woman becomes the demon. It's kind of complex. It's kind of nuanced. You might not see it in a real game, but I figure I should explain it now. The soldier. You are safe from the demon. That is pretty self-explanatory. The soldier cannot be killed at night. The Raven Keeper. If you die at night, you are woken to choose a player. You learn their character. So what does this mean? Well, let's say instead of Elephant being the chef, they're the Raven Keeper instead. And let's say ZB kills Elephant. Okay? Bam, bam, bam. All right? Then Elephant could pick a player around the circle. And let's say they pick Umbreon. I would then be obligated, I would have to tell Elephant that Umbreon is the virgin. Okay? I cannot lie unless a character is drunk or poisoned. Those are the only way I can lie to anyone ever in this game. Okay? So then we have the mayor and the virgin, which I already went over. Again, this may seem like a ton of rules. It's okay if you don't have them all memorized at once, because I will give out a few of these scripts to look at before the game starts. And so that way you'll all be able to know all the information. But now I'm going to go through what I do at the start of the game. So to play this game, I'd say, okay, there's 9 players here. 2 of you are outsiders at base. 1 of you is a minion. 1 of you is a demon. And 5 of you would be townsfolk, making 9 players in the game. I would then pass out these roles randomly assigned, and I'd say, okay, everybody go to sleep. First, I would say to the minion, wake up. So I'm waking up here. I'm going to point to who the demon is. So I'm tapping them, and I'm pointing, ZB is your demon. All right? I then say, go to sleep. Then I go to ZB. All right? I'd say, Red Panda. So let me make sure I'm showing this on camera. Red Panda is your minion. And then I would show the demon, and I would always do this, and I sometimes do it wrong, but I sometimes forget to do it. I would then give the demon 3 bluffs, okay? And this helps the bad team fit in, okay? So I would tell ZB 3 out-of-play characters, which are not in the game, I have to choose characters that are not in the game, are the librarian, the fortune teller, and the chef in this case, all right? And then I'd put these away, all right? Then, next in the night order, right, because there's a specific order that you do this, I wake up the washerwoman. The washerwoman, I'd say, hello, wake up, and I'm going to tell you that either Elephant, right, or Red Panda is a Raven Keeper. And that's correct information. Even though Red Panda's evil, I gave correct information. One of them is the washerwoman. All right? The monk does not wake up on night 1, nor does the saint, mayor, virgin, scarlet woman, or Raven Keeper. So the only thing left to do would be tell Red Yoshi one of your 2 alive neighbors in Umbreon and Red Panda is evil. Okay? So then I'd wake everybody up. I'd say, everybody get up. And I'd say, okay, you can discuss throughout the day. So people might want to have private conversations to tell people their roles. And the evil team might want to spread their bluffs to each other. So ZB might go over and tell Red Panda, hey, I got the 3 bluffs, chef, librarian, and fortune teller. Maybe you should take something like the chef and say that there's 1 pair of evil players when there's actually not. And I can take the fortune teller and we can create worlds where essentially we look good and people will not think we are the demon. All right? So ZB can totally say that, and that's totally cool. You can say whatever you want in this game. You cannot prove it. You cannot show each other your cards, for instance. Okay? And at the end of the day, let's say a bunch of other private conversations occur, and let's say somehow Sleepy Bear learns that Umbreon is a virgin. Sleepy Bear nominates Umbreon. Sleepy Bear is executed immediately. So Sleepy Bear gains this token of death. And they are now executed. And I say, everybody go to sleep. All right? So then it's night 2, which means things happen slightly differently. There is no poisoner in this game. The poisoner would act first. But then I go to the monk, okay? Rainbow Bear, wake up. Choose some player you want to save. Let's say they choose Hedwig for some reason. All right. Hedwig is now safe. Then I'd go to ZB, and I'd say, choose a player to kill. And they choose to kill Auroru, the Saint. So now, because they are not protected, or the soldier, or anything, they will also be dead. I would not tell dead players any information. So here, I'd go then to Red Yoshi, which I believe is the only other player to activate at this point in the game. And still, they learn that one of their alive neighbors is evil, because that hasn't changed. All right? So now, let's say another day goes by, and this time, let's say Hedwig. Let's say that for some reason, this might make sense, right? Because learning that this player is a virgin, Red Yoshi would think naturally that this guy is evil. I wouldn't show this, but he is evil, right? So in the night, let's say Red Panda is executed, okay? Makes sense? Hopefully. Feel free to comment if you have any questions. But let's say it's another night. Let's say the monk this time chooses to protect Red Yoshi, okay? Red Yoshi, so the monk has protected Red Yoshi. ZB chooses to kill Elephant. So Elephant dies, but Elephant's ability activates upon death. So Elephant would go first here. Elephant says, if you die at night, you are woken and choose a player. You learn their character. And let's say, for simplicity, Elephant chooses ZB. So they learn ZB is an imp. I have to show this because there's no way for Elephant's information to be false here. All right? And further, Red Yoshi learns at night 0 of your alive neighbors are now evil, because that is Umbreon and that is Elephant, and neither of them are evil. Because, actually, that is, sorry, my bad. That is Umbreon, and that is, Rainbow Bear, because, Elephant is actually dead. So, Red Yoshi now clears Umbreon and Rainbow Bear. And so the heat's really intense for ZB here, and they die, okay? So this would end the game. But if, Red Panda wasn't dead and there were still 4 players alive except ZB, then their Red Panda becomes a demon, okay? If that makes sense. Again, this might be complicated to understand. It's really much easier to play a few games first and then get it. But this would end the game and the good team would win. So, essentially, how do you win the game this time? If you're the good team, you have to get the imp. It's cut and dry, as simple as that. Or if 3 players live and no execution occurs with a mayor in play, the mayor could also have a good win. This is very rare to happen, okay? So my advice is always just go for the imp, all right? But how does evil win? Well, if there are 3 players alive and the demon kills any other player, right, either at night or during the day, evil wins immediately, okay? So this is kind of different from Mafia. Mafia, 2 players can still be alive, and the ghost votes can happen. And there are still ghost votes in this game, but if evil ever reaches a final 2 in this game with the imp and somebody else, evil automatically wins the game. So hopefully that was complex and yet simple enough to understand. I'm going to share this video with all my friends. Let me know if you have any questions, and that hopefully should be Mafia and Blood on the Clocktower explained.